Yeah. Super. Yeah, I gotta show you also here. She's showing me these dogs. I think they're monsters. She's like this 18. Oh, yeah, yeah. Little mice. Got it. Yeah. The gray ones are the most expensive. These ones are the
I'm back. Decided not to quit.
There's your chance. Okay, we're going to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Bazetta Township employees, I'd like to welcome you to our candidates night. This night is not sponsored by the township, it's being sponsored by employees of Bazetta Township. They asked me to moderate this. My name is Chuck Sayers. I'm a retired police chief, retired back in 2009. And it's an honor and privilege for me to be here with you fine folks tonight. I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to introduce our candidates. There's already been a predetermined order on the way to answer the questions, and I'm going to go ahead and start off with our candidate, Mike Hovis. Mike Hovis is married to Stephanie Hovis for 28 years. He has 2 children, Sadie and Ryan. He has 1 grandchild named Ren and 2 boxer dogs, Lily and Louie. He graduated from Lakeview High School in 1986. He served in the Ohio Army National Guard as a military police officer from 1986 to 1992. He served in the Persian Gulf War during Operation Desert Storm. He worked for the Bazetta Police Department for nearly 25 years and held every position within the department. He retired on December 31st, 2018 after serving 6 years as chief of police. He has a bachelor's degree from Youngstown State University in criminal justice with a specialization in law enforcement. He owns his own business since the age of 20 and understands how important it is to work hard, be honest, and always treat people respectfully. He's dedicated his entire life to serving others, and complete dedication will continue upon being elected trustee of Bazetta Township. I introduce you to Mike Hovis. Our next candidate is Bob McBride. Bob McBride is a self-employed business owner of Bob's Tree Service for the past 39 years. Bob has lived in Trumbull County his entire life. Prior to starting his own business, he worked for the Trumbull County Sheriff's Department for 5 years. Bob has been married to his wife, Terry, for 39 years, who also works for the family business. He has 2 children, Robert, who works in the family business, and Matthew, who is a sergeant with the Trumbull County Sheriff's Office. He has 1 grandchild, Connor, who is 7 years old and is a 2nd grader at the Lakeview School System. Bob has been a resident of Bazetta Township for over 11 years. He has attended almost all of Bazetta Township meetings for over 2.5 years. He is currently serving on the Zoning Board of Appeals for Bazetta Township. I present to you Bob McBride. Last but not least, we have Paul Hovis. Paul has been serving for Bazetta Township trustee for almost 12 years. As a lifelong resident and community volunteer of the township, he understands the needs of residents. His community involvement spans nearly 20 years with his participation in youth sports as a coach for the Lakeview Rural Bulldogs. A proud supporter of the local 4-H group, a member of the Bazetta Cortland Optimist Club, and a member of the Cortland Rotary. And he's also a proud member of the Masonic Lodge. Paul's experience has helped the township over his term as trustee, being able to save the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars by finding ways to improve and streamline services, along with applying for state and federal grants to help the township. As Bazetta Township business owner, Paul has been able to collaborate with all members of the community for the betterment of the township. Specific accomplishments include consolidation of the Bazetta Fire Department, resulting in faster response time, saving the township over $100,000 by enrolling in the Bureau of Workers' Compensation programs, formed an insurance committee for healthcare that saved over $120,000, and created transparency by forming township website that allows residents to access public records online, along with live streaming of the meetings for residents who could not attend. Although his accomplishments as a business owner and trustee are numerous, he is most proud of the family he has raised in the township. With his beautiful wife for over 30 years, Denise, Paul has 2 daughters, 1 son, and 5 grandkids. His children have inherited the community service gene and continue to be involved in the community. Paul is asking for your vote on November 5th so he can continue serving the township as a trustee for 4 more years. I present to you Paul Hovis. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what I have done is I have a list of 10 questions that have been forwarded to each one of the candidates. Okay, the questions number 1 through 9 will have a 2-minute response time. I'll read the question, and each candidate in the designated order will have an opportunity to respond. At the end of all the questions, if we have enough time, we'll open up to the audience to ask for questions and responses. I'll go ahead and start with tonight. With the increasing cost of living, including housing, utilities, transportation, medical insurance, and other expenses, how will you help to ensure that the employees continue to work for the township and afford to support their families?
Let me reassure the workers of Bazetta Township. Employees need to be fairly compensated, and due to the fact that they are the largest financial asset to the township and our community, they need to be treated fairly. We need to have bi-weekly budget meetings that will be conducted by me to ensure that the financial stability is consistently maintained. This is how our township works, and this is how it needs to be ran, just like I ran the police department for 6 years.
Thank you. Bob, with the increasing cost of living, including housing, utilities, transportation, medical insurance, and other expenses, how will you help to ensure that the employees can continue to work for the township and afford to support their families?
I look to attract more businesses to the area, encourage home growth, look at balancing the budget. We'll seek competitive bidding on the medical insurance. We'll routine examine possible savings in the insurance. An example is of Weathersfield Township, where they have realized enormous savings as a result of doing this. We'll seek state funding for further help in the operating expense.
Thank you, sir. Paul, again, with the increasing cost of living, including housing, utilities, transportation, medical insurance, and other expenses, how will you help to ensure that the employees can continue to work for the township and afford to support their families?
Well, number 1, plan to save money in other areas of the township. We want to make sure that the township employees are paid a livable wage, while also ensuring that the services does not suffer. We want to attract and retain the best people for the job, so we need to make sure the job offer is attractive to them and keep focusing on road paving.
Thank you, sir. Mike, in the capacity of your office, what will you do to help further the township and the services it provides to the community in the future?
Looking toward the future, we need to have grant funding in all departments to supplement the lack of revenue. Now, I have personally written numerous grants while working at the township. Currently, our township is operating with outdated levies. We have tried going to voters for additional, renewal, and replacement, and all failing. So grant funding is our only option.
Thank you. Bob, in the capacity of your office, what will you do to help further the township and the services it provides to the community in the future?
Well, 2 services are the parks and the cemeteries. I plan to fix them. I will work on getting more roads fixed. I will look at the police and fire departments to see if we can offer more services with less money. And I will also seek grants with the state and local representatives.
Thank you. And Paul, in the capacity of your office, what will you do to help further the township and the service it provides to the community in the future?
Always listen to the residents and continue on applying for state and federal grants that will help offset the cost. As some of you guys are aware, about 2010, there was a multi-complex that was going to be built. And looking at the financial numbers, I was one of the guys as a trustee to tell them that the township could not afford to do so. It was going to cost us $248,000 a year for 30 years, and we would have definitely been broke if we would have went through with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Mike, how will you secure funds needed to operate the different services?
Only through financial security of constantly monitoring all the department's spending will we strive to aid in securing the funds needed to run our local government in the future. It has to be dealt with today.
And Bob, how will you secure the funds needed to operate the different services?
I will work with the department heads to secure grants and issue 2 money for the roads. I will work with the county and state representatives of our district to see if all available funding is there that we can get.
Thank you, sir. And Paul, how will you secure funds needed to operate the different services?
Well, we applied for federal and state grants to help with things such as in the fire station, the roads, police department. There's a lot of dollars out there that's available to assist townships. Our department heads actually do a great job of writing those grants. And one of the things by building the fire station where it was at, the response time got better, and that was able to lower your interest or your insurance on your property by building a centralized fire station.
Thank you, sir. Mike, it was said that all township employees should take a wage freeze. Is this something that you would agree with? Why or why not?
I absolutely disagree with the wage freeze. In a climate where there's a shortage of labor force, due in large part to an aging population, the labor force participation rate for all projected local governments is projected to decline. And that can be supported by the labor statistics. Our workers need to be competitively and fairly compensated for their commitment and labor. As I have stated already, our employees are the largest asset that we make.
Thank you, sir. Bob, it was said that all township employees should take a wage freeze. Is this something that you would agree with, and why or why not?
A lot of Bazetta resident voters have taken wage freezes in their jobs. I believe that in order to get the budget under control, a temporary wage freeze is necessary. I would want to lift that wage freeze as soon as possible. I believe that the voters have not passed a levy because they do not see the trustees as doing everything to control the expenses. A wage freeze would give the voter public confidence. And I also feel that once it is getting more funds, then we could bring it back. And a lot of people have lost their jobs in this area. Kmart warehouse, General Motors has went down right now. You have a lot of people that's hurting for jobs, and we have United Auto Workers on strike. And I just believe it would show the people of the city of Warren, Ohio, they have taken wage freezes. The fire department did, the police department did in crisis. And I believe we should look at doing the same.
Thank you, sir. Paul, it was said that all township employees should take a wage freeze. Is this something that you would agree with? Why or why not?
No, I think everyone deserves a cost of living raise. There's over the 12 years, being here, there's been several contracts that was negotiated, and there was a lot of sacrifices by the employees here of taking no raises for a couple years and then a 1% at the end. And that goes to show you that the employees care just as much of the township as everyone else. And if the funds ain't available, working with these department heads and the employees, they actually came to us before and said, hey, we're going to take a 0-0, and then we negotiate after that to check out the available funds at that time.
Thank you, sir. Mike, will you please name your priority for the township and why it is your priority?
My number one priority for a township is and always will be financial stability. Without finances being secured, you will have no tomorrow. That's the important part of running a local government.
Thank you, sir. And Bob, will you please name your priority for the township and why it is your priority?
My priority will be the roads to get paved. After talking to numerous people and knocking on doors, that is, they want their roads paved. They're tired of having bad roads. I will seek state funding to get the roads paved and additional state gas tax and any other state money that were available.
Thank you, sir. Paul, will you please name your priority for the township and why it is your priority?
Well, number one, listen to the needs of the community and find the most effective way to maintain and improve services. Currently, working on some grant money to get some things fixed in the cemetery by the tornado. I understand the frustration of those with the loved ones buried here, and I'm right along with you. We are currently following the procedure outlined by the state to receive some funds. We're currently in the process of selecting a contractor so this work can get done. I have already, since I've been in this township as a trustee, there was actually 20 roads paved, and we have 46 roads in the township since 2008. I think that's a big accomplishment. The big savings was getting the department heads to work with me on the workman's comp, which lowered the workman's comp quite a bit. And then we formed the health insurance committee so the employees could understand what the health care cost. And then when I first come on, of course, you know, our fire department was upside down. Looked at the finances, and with the work of the employees there, we turned that around in 1 year. And now they're in a centralized location, and our services are just as good as they've ever been.
Thank you, sir. Right, as a trustee, you only have one vote. How do you get the other trustees to support your goals?
Supporting goals is working together, making sound decisions that are for the betterment of our community. This is putting aside personal agendas like our board is currently practicing. For example, currently, right now, attorney fees have been spent on me running this election with an anonymous complaint that was filed against me for impersonating a police officer. Well, I'm still certified in the state of Ohio as a police officer. Sadly, your tax dollars have been spent on these legal fees. I even had a personal phone call from the sheriff of this Trumbull County that certain people filed a complaint saying I was impersonating a police officer, and he assured me that I am not. Also, Frank Park took your police chief in that room over there and told him not to speak to Mike Hovis because of his personal agenda. Well, because of that personal agenda, currently, right now, you do not have a drug fund or an OMBI fund in this township. Okay? You have to have it by law to put drug seizure money and OMBI money into that fund. Trustees have been here for 12 years, and they don't even know that these funds are not in the current accounting system, and they should be there. Also, Trustee Paul Hovis over here conspired with many other, to have our fire chief there, Dennis Lewis, fired. They spent your tax dollars, your time, and their energy on trying to get a man fired who has nothing but completely dedicated his life and service to this community. That's the personal agendas that will not occur while I'm a trustee.
Thank you, sir. Bob, likewise, as a trustee, you have only one vote. How do you get the other trustees to support your goals?
As a successful business person I am for 39 years, I've worked with many clients and vendors. I've learned a lot from the public. I practice this daily. Work sessions with other trustees and department heads are a must. We need to always be together. If I get elected, we will go from here forward. There's no looking back and what went on. I will listen to all ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Paul, as a trustee, you only have one vote. How do you get the other trustees to support your goals?
Well, I've been working with these people for 12 years now in the position as trustee. I've had a relationship with them much longer than that. We generally have an understanding and respect for each other and are working toward the same goal of providing the best service to the community which we all live in. We must continue to remember that our goal is not of ourselves, but those of the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mike, as a trustee, you address or answer public questions and complaints concerning one of the township employees or township departments, or do you refer those questions and complaints to a department head to address it?
First of all, what would need to happen here is the employee handbook would need to be written properly and updated because it's out of date currently. Department liaisons will handle complaints of their staff members, and trustees will handle complaints of their department heads. We need to have a strict chain of command that needs to be followed.
Thank you, sir. Bob, as a trustee, do you answer or address public questions and complaints concerning one of the township employees or a township department, or do you refer those questions or complaints to a department head to address it?
I will never publicly address the concerns or complaints about an employee of Bazetta Township without first conferring with other trustees and then other department heads. Without knowing the facts, I believe the department heads should handle the complaint and report back to the trustees. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Paul, as a trustee, do you address or answer public questions or complaints concerning one of the township employees or a township department? Or do you refer those questions or complaints to a department head to address it?
Yes, I refer to the department head to handle the situation. Then I follow up with that individual to make sure everything was done fairly.
Thank you, sir. It has been said that employees will not get replaced when they separate employment. Mike, is this something that you agree with, and why or why not?
This is not agreed or disagreed a question. It is a more of, does the budget support it? So through having bi-weekly financial meetings, you'll constantly know where your budget is. And if an employee can be replaced at a lower wage, they'll be replaced.
Thank you, sir. Bob, it has been said that employees will not get replaced when they separate employment. Is this something that you agree with, and why or why not?
No, I do not agree with it. I would confer with the department heads whether the job needs to be replaced or not. However, I believe there really is not a job in Bazetta that is not necessary. We're currently running short-staffed in all departments, including the fire department, which the fire department is running from a budget from over 5 years ago. We are short-staffed in the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Paul, it has been said that employees will not get replaced when they separate employment. Is this something that you agree with, and why or why not?
It depends on the department and the fundings available, whether an employee is going to get replaced after he retires or what have you. That's where the fiscal officer and the trustees got to be on the same page. I'm not willing to sacrifice services to the residents by not replacing an employee.
Thank you, sir. Mike, will you name 3 problems that you see in the township that you can fix, and how will you fix them?
First of all, roads. It's a financial plan that needs to be established to ensure roads are paved. Gas tax money and grant money need to be sought out to pave these roads annually, not just at the time of an election. Also, flooding. We need to annually dig out and clean out our ditches to reduce flooding issues. Also, in the police department, we need to eliminate police responding to misdemeanor retail shoplifting. It's an endless amount of money that's being spent instead of having our officers patrolling our neighborhood streets, thus ensuring that your tax dollars are spent wisely within your community, and as a result, you get to see those officers in your neighborhood.
Thank you, sir. That's under,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Bob, will you please name 3 problems in the township that you can fix, and how you will fix them?
Roads, and the roads. After campaigning and going door to door, this is really the chief complaint I've heard. One way to generate funds for this would be to place a $5 license plate fee that is designated only for road maintenance. This would only be enacted if the residents of Bazetta Township vote for it. For maintaining the parks, funds could be generated by seeking sponsors that place advertisements throughout the park in regards to the cemetery maintenance. This would require removal of old trees and shrubbery which are overgrown. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Paul, will you please name 3 problems in the township that you can fix, and how will you fix them?
Well, in my 12 years of being here, I think I've made vast improvements in all areas, and I plan to continue to work, as I stated before. There's definitely a lot of improvements that can be done as far as especially our zoning book. I went out and met with several companies years ago, and we could have had the updated zoning book done with all the updated ORC codes for $30,000, and we did not do so. And I do agree with what Mike Hovis said. The policy book definitely needs updated. The policy book does not partake to a lot of the employees because of contracts, and if it's not in their contract, then that's where the policy book comes into play. But that's definitely something that needs to looked at. I will continue the transparency in office by using our website, streaming the meetings. If you folks have been on our website since 2002, you can research any resolution that's ever been passed right from the website. You don't have to request a public record request. You can go right on there and research that information. And all our meetings, like I said, are streamlined and recorded. You can watch YouTube videos if you can't make a meeting, or if you're sitting at home and you can't make it, they're streamed. The only township that does stream live video recording of a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mike, will you please give us a 3-year plan for Bazetta Township?
Well, I'll give you one better. We'll have a 5-year comprehensive plan of action that will be drawn up with the fire chief, the police chief, and the entire board of trustees. Right now, number 1, financial stability will be maintained. For an example, the current fire budget is predicted against township resolution, thus requiring 25% of the budget to be carried over from year to year. Currently, it has a $1.6 million budget, and they're projected to carry over $210,000. That's in violation of our own resolution. Next, police contract negotiations. I've negotiated the last 2 contracts here at the police department, and it only required $120 for an attorney to review it. The other departments can't say that. Roads need to be addressed. The inheritance money that was brought into this township totaled $900,000. Due to a lack of planning, lack of grant writing, They should have turned that $900,000 into $1.8 million of government matched funds. Therefore, the road conditions that you have sure wouldn't be in the shape they are right now. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Bob, will you please give us your three-year plan for Bazetta Township?
The first year I'll get funding from the state level. I'll look at the budget and see if there's any way to clean it up. I'll seek the confidence of the voters. And if I have to, I will travel to Columbus and I will meet with the governor about getting more money that they've taken away from us. They have taken money away. We need money back that they've taken. The second year is to implement all the funds and all the plans I have made. The third year is to look at a levy. Once the roads, parks, and cemetery has been taken care of, we can look to the future of passing a levy. Bazetta cannot move forward without the confidence of the residents, and I don't feel they have seen that here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Paul, will you please provide us with a three-year plan for the township?
Yes, continue the growth for the township. Some of you guys are aware, I've been working for about 8 years on this water line up Route 5. Hopefully that's coming to an end here shortly. I'd like to attract talented individuals to live and work in the township, continue working on the road paving projects. As I said before, 20 roads were paved, 7 of them were grant money that was applied for. Some of our other roads did not qualify for grants. Just like one road that I'd really like to get done is Wilshire Drive. If you guys haven't been down that road, there's some flooding issues down there and that road needs taken care of. Keep working on collaboration with other departments in the township, continue cost savings to the taxpayers and make sure the residents are heard and addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, this concludes all the questions that have been forwarded to me for asking of the candidates here. What I'd like to do at this time is open it up to the public. What I ask is that you limit your question to about 22 seconds. The candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. We will take one question at a time. Please state your name and then which trustee delegate candidate that you are seeking to address that question. Okay, so we'll go ahead and open it up now. Jane Lewis.
Jane Lewis, this is to Mike. Mike, you said $250,000 is all they're going to have at the end of this year.
210.
210,000. And where did you get that quote? Because I was at the last trustees meeting and I thought she said they had 400,000 and almost 500,000. So where did you? And this was from your. I'm surprised you got that because the park board can't get anything from her. I will tell you that. We haven't got nothing from her for a whole year. So I'm surprised you could get it. You must know her better than us. So that's why I question the $210.
Yeah, this is filed with the county every year. So that's where it's from.
It's from the county, not from here.
It is from here, but it's filed with the county.
And she says that's all you're gonna have at the end of the year?
Well, it says $210,976.22, January 21st, 2020, unencumbered balance. That'd be carried over.
That would be carried over. And for 2020, and you had, am I allowed to do another question?
If you would let somebody else, you can.
Does anybody else want to ask another question before I ask another?
No.
Can I go ahead? Okay, and you said you had a $400,000 carryover. Is that what you said in the police department last year? And I believe that you also didn't do any upgrading at your fire station, and it needs to be done this year. You had a furnace out. Did you need a new roof? There were some things that needed done. Why wasn't those done when you were police chief?
The roof was maintenance.
How old is that roof?
Oh, it's probably original when it was built.
And that was what year?
2001, 2000, because that's when we had layoffs.
Okay. Yeah, that would have been, yeah.
We had layoffs that year, because it couldn't
So
afford to
about
make the payment.
2000, so the rest about 19 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because of, that's a pretty big carryover, 400,000.
Mhm.
And,
I mean, if you want, I can give you a list of the things that I replaced at the police department.
yeah, I'd like to see.
I got all new handguns and holsters, that was paid for on a $5,000 grant from Walmart.
Yeah,
I got all new patrol rifles for the officers to carry in their cars that they didn't have. When I took over the police department, I had the evidence room purged of all any monetary funds that were in there that were belonged to Bazetta Township. I took that money and used that to buy ammunition, so our officers could qualify and train every year. So the 6 years I was there, we didn't have to do that.
I have a question, another question. What do your officers pay? The, not the ones in training, the new ones you keep hiring, because I know this is your department
I
and
don't
the
know, I haven't
history of
hired
the training.
anybody, I don't work there.
Well, the last ones you hired.
Last ones I hired, they started out making 16 something an hour. I believe that was the hourly rate.
And
And they're on a 3-year tier increase.
a what?
3-year tier increase.
A 3-year tier increase. Do you feel that's a fair wage for a police officer?
No, not at
I
all.
don't either, not with a $400,000 carryover, not with the job they have to do. That's how I feel. I'll sit down, I'll think of something else, I'm sure. I don't believe $16 an hour is a fair price when you had a
Well,
$4,000.
I understand that, but wages are set by the board of trustees. They're not set by your police chief.
I
Never
thought you said you did, not your wage, no, I thought you said you did the negotiating in your contract.
I do the negotiating,
Excuse me,
but
Jane, can we go on to the next question?
Yeah.
please?
Well,
Thank you.
he's talking.
Yes, sir.
Paul Carlson, Lakeshore Drive, question to all three candidates. General fund has been known, has been operating at a deficit for any number of years. This obviously cannot continue, and my question would be, well, first of all, it didn't occur overnight, and it's not going to end overnight. But at the first meeting of January 2020, when Mr. Hovis, you continue in office or either candidate take office, would you propose and endorse a resolution that calls for a balanced budget in the general fund over the term of your 4-year term in office?
Okay, Mike, I'll let you go first.
100% correct. I endorse that.
Bob?
Well, I'd endorse that. I will also say that this township right now, from talking to residents and what I've heard and seen, we are in serious financial trouble. We need a lot of help. We really do. I will really tell you people that with not passing no levies, I'm just going to tell you, we are in serious financial trouble. We have a fire department that's understaffed, and we have a fire truck that needs to be replaced. And Dennis does do a good job. He has got us grants. He's understaffed over there. We run a paramedics over there. We have two ambulances. One of them's going to need replaced. This doesn't run on water. It takes a lot to run a township, and we're in serious financial trouble. We really are. And you know, you can take it for what it's worth, but it's going to be a hard thing to straighten up in even 4 years. It really is. And it will take a lot of public input and department heads getting together. This is not something 3 trustees are going to solve by themselves. It's going to take the whole township to do it. It really is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Paul?
Yeah, and I agree with that. As you are well aware, you know, we got the new UAN system up and running. And we found a few mistakes with that system. So it's kind of hard for us to balance that budget, but I do agree by 2020, all these bugs should be worked out of that system. Because I'll elaborate a little bit on the cemetery fund. There was an $87,000 mistake that wasn't caught there, with this new system. So everybody was saying that the cemetery was going broke because they spent all the insurance money. Well, that's not so. So once we get the final numbers, and whether I get reelected or not, I think everybody in this township with the department heads has already taken action to start getting reports so they know where their budget is and know what money's coming in. And I think the trustee board needs to understand that UAN system with the fiscal officer. Because I've met with her a couple different times and just going through stuff and asking questions. There's been several other mistakes, and it's human error, but it's kind of hard for you to balance the budget. But hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have a year under our belts to understand these financial numbers and know exactly where we're at.
Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm like over at 3434 State Route 5, Portland. Mr. M. Hovis, you came up with a $1.6 million amount. I forget what it was for, but I recently saw another $1.6 million amount. So what was yours about? And what is?
Well, $1.6 million is the budget of the fire department. Actually, it's $1,596,670.57.
It's not pattern there, but it has nothing to do with that.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have, Paul, do you agree with that that you're only gonna have the $210,000 carryover for the year, or is the new UAN so, how do I want to say it, so confusing that, that could be wrong, since there was an $86,000 error and.
Well, I believe that Mike was conferring to the fire department. Are you asking about fire department or general fund?
Oh, he was referring about you. Oh, you're not gonna have enough.
There's a resolution that you're supposed to carry 25% of your budget over.
Oh,
So
it's not
that if you
general
do,
fund.
and this is where my property tax is about $1 million. I bring in about 185 to 200,000, 225, depending on how EMS billing goes. So my budget is $1.2 million. Last year, yes, I deficit spent last year, but it was because of health insurance costs. We did negotiate a lot, new health cost saving, a lot of money, which we should be okay this year. I'm not saying that I'm going to carry any more than 210,000, but he is correct. I am in violation of that resolution.
Oh, it wasn't the general fund. I mistaken that. I thought you were talking about the general fund.
Yeah.
The general fund is gonna fall within that 25%.
Yeah, they're gonna have, I think, more than the 25% with their, with still their, some of their leftover.
But currently, the cemetery fund has $90,000 in it. And they got a current project out right now. The projected cost of that project is $110,000. So if that project comes in legally at 10% over that 110, that project is going to be awarded for maybe $120,000. So, I mean, you're taking $120,000 from $90,000. That remainder is going to come out of your general fund. Or they're just not going to award the project.
And that could be, they might have to make the building a little smaller.
That could be.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Walmart worth it? Because you're saying that, you want to take officers away from their patrols there, and then, do we get enough from Walmart? I didn't know. It's probably just.
Yeah, so here's as the Board of Trustees, we are challenged with setting the policies of the township. And we have the right to write that policy on how misdemeanor shoplifting complaints are handled. Many communities do what I had done my last year. We don't respond to misdemeanor shoplifters unless they don't have an ID, which they need to be ID'd, which requires an officer going in there, checking his ID, verifying who the person is, and giving it to Walmart. Okay? That way they can go file their own charges against them. Currently, right now, our officers go down there, have to ID them, have to photograph them, photograph the evidence, write them a summons, come back to the police department, do a police report. It's time consuming. And therefore, because of that policy, your officers are not on your streets making them safer.
And there's quite a bit of opportunity.
There is. And it's just not Walmart. I'm talking,
No,
we have problems with retail shoplifting. It's a sign of the times, and every community has it. But the policy that's set by the Board of Trustees is how we'll handle those and how we'll use tax dollars wisely.
Are there any other questions from the audience?
I just have one question.
Yes, Cheryl.
Cheryl Tennant, it's been kind of said by all three that you're going to listen to the residents of the community. We have one meeting a month that the residents are allowed to speak. And we want to speak at both meetings. So, are any of you opposed to speaking at both meetings? Because we don't have any quorum. So I'll go with Mike first.
Yeah, I mean, if I can address that, first of all, January, when Paul took over as chairman of the Board of Trustees, he determined when the meetings would be. He wanted one meeting a month, and he wanted it at 3 o'clock. Okay? And anything else, other business they had to conduct, they would call it a special meeting so the residents couldn't speak.
Yeah.
Not only after so many meetings throughout this year at these so-called special meetings, was there enough pressure on the Board of Trustees to allow residents to speak. If I'm elected trustee, as we always have done, 7 p.m., 2 meetings a month, residents can speak. This is your government, this is your community, and we need to act like it.
Paul?
Well, actually, I feel that there really should be about 4 meetings a month starting soon because there's just so much, we're in serious financial trouble. And for us, for the 3 trustees to meet, it has to be, we can't meet unless it's open to the public.
Well, first of all, sir, you're not in that kind of serious trouble. You need to learn how to read the budget.
Uh-huh.
You have to know what's in the budget.
And I suppose you know it all? Is that what you're
Yes,
telling me?
sir, I do.
I suppose you know it all?
I certainly do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Paul?
Yeah, I actually had asked the other 2 trustees back in June and checked with legal counsel to make sure I knew I was doing it right. We have to pass a new resolution to reinstate your meetings and ask them if we would go to 4 meetings a month because we did have a lot of stuff going on. Financial numbers as well as questions to the public. Now, for me, my business is here in the township, so a lot of the residents come right to my shop and want me to go look at something here or there. So it's not Paul Hovis that made the decision on 1 meeting a month. It was the sense of the board that said that that's all we needed, and that's what we went with. And to change that, you have to pass another resolution, which I tried to do in June, and that got turned down. They said that we didn't need more than 1 meeting a month.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
About these meetings, it seems like they're run with an iron fist where the people, the residents are only allowed to, do it a certain way and it just seems like it's more like a parliamentary procedure or something where you guys run it with an iron fist and it just is kind of better than us.
Are there any other questions from the audience? Anybody else? Okay, I'd like to give the candidates an opportunity to make a closing statement. We'll start off with Mike.
Yeah, so, I mean, the whole idea behind this is to get to know the candidate, to get to know what they stand for. Fiscal responsibility is the number one priority, and it needs to be maintained. Budgets need to be looked at. For this drug fund and OMBI fund not to be on the fund status report for Bazetta Township is unacceptable. Unacceptable. If we had a $2 million drug seizure, which we have had $200,000 seizures in this township, but God forbid if we did an investigation and $2 million was seized by our police department, we could not take that money. We couldn't use that in our community because that fund does not exist. That's all I have.
Bob?
As was said in my intro, I'm a successful business person. I started like business with a pickup truck and a chainsaw with no knowledge of the tree business and built it to what it is today. I will use the same methods I've learned running my own business as being your next Bazetta Township trustee. As a successful business person, I have the necessary qualifications to be your next trustee. What will make me the best trustee for you is what made me successful in my own business. I learned not to be afraid to take advice from others. I work well with others. Long hours, hard work, dedication, and the belief that I can get it to work. Ability to solve any problems as they arise, balancing the budget, not being afraid to try new things. The most important is ability to work with the public. My door will always be open. You could call me. The reason I chose to run for township trustee is because the meetings for the last 2.5 years, I see that there's a need for change in the leadership of this township. Over the years, I've been a community person who has donated my time and my talents to different organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Paul?
Well, I would just ask you to look at the history of the last 12 years of all the accomplishments that has been made. It took a lot of sacrifices by the employees, department heads. Like I said, 12 years, we paved 20 roads. 9 of those was grant money that was available. The savings in the workers' comp was the first thing I did when I first got here. Just taking stuff from my business side of it for that savings, and then the department heads took over, educated the employees about that, got them in different programs. The park over here, I took my own equipment over there and helped put that walking trail in. That was a big thing. There's just lots of things that my last 12 years of service here has provided to the township, and cost saving matters. Is there any mistakes that's been made by Paul Hovis? Yes, there is. Does Paul Hovis know everything? No, he does not. But I support my department heads, my employees, and the residents of this township. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this will conclude tonight's candidates night. Gentlemen, I would like to thank you on behalf of the employees of the township, residents of the township. Thank you for all your hard work and preparation. I wish you the best. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming out and participating tonight. What you're doing here is exercising your rights as a resident of Bazetta Township. And I would encourage you to stay involved in your local government. Thank you.
Hi, how you doing? How you doing? I do know how to
Yeah.